Before we deconstruct the brutal multi-billion-dollar architectural shift currently tearing through the global technology and labor markets, I have exactly 3 critical questions for you to answer in the comments below. Number 1. Are you still operating under the obsolete assumption that artificial intelligence is a simple plug-and-play software that your company can just buy and deploy overnight? Number 2. If you work in human resource or corporate strategy, do you realize that 80% of the friction in the AI adoption is not a coding problem, but a deeply biological, psychological change management problem? Number 3. Do you understand the catastrophic financial reason why Google and OpenAI are suddenly building massive teams of embedded engineers, actively squeezing traditional mega consultancies like Accenture and Deloitte out of 2026 market? Let me know your answer. If you are new to the channel, here is my intro. I'm Dr. HR. I approach the global labor and capital market not with emotional comforting advice, but as a structural algorithmic system. I hold a PhD in human resources, a master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences (TISS) in Mumbai, and a bachelor's in computer engineering. Operating on the ground here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for Tier 1 corporate entities, sovereign wealth funds and apex tech founders across the Middle East and India subcontinent, I have monitored exactly how global talent is sourced, deployed, and ultimately monetized. The market does not reward you for building a great product. It rewards you for flawlessly forcing the integration of that product into the messy biological reality of the enterprise. Google is currently hiring hundreds of fast-forward deployed engineers to help their enterprise customers actually use Gemini. If you are a student of the market architecture, you know that specific term does not belong to the Google. The term belongs to Palantir. Google just copied verbatim the exact operational structure that took Palantir from $16 billion valuation in 2020 to an absolute behemoth worth $325 billion today in May 2026. Anthropic runs applied AI on the exact same model. OpenAI quietly built a massive deployment team starting in 2024, and now Google has surrendered to the realities of the market. The reason this is happening exposes the exact part of the equation that the AI bulls and amateur investors keep blindly skipping over. The AI model itself is roughly 20% of an enterprise AI deployment. The integration, the evaluation design, the hallucination guardrails, the security review, and the most importantly for human resources, the change management required to get stubborn employees to actually use the thing is the other 80%. Selling the model alone is selling 1/5 of the problem, and then watching your customer completely fail at the other 4/5. Before I completely dismantle the illusion of pure SaaS margins, expose the exact mechanics of why the big 4 consulting firms are facing an existential crisis, and give you the precise architectural blueprint to pivot your HR and corporate career into a forward deploy sovereign operator, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor and capital market using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these execution protocols. Stop trying to sell the software. Start engineering the deployment. Grab a notebook. It is time to audit the integration layer. Phase 1, the Palantir blueprint, the death of plug and play. We must first diagnose the exact structural genius of what Google is copying and why it is so terrifying difficult to replicate. We must map the Palantir blueprint. The forward deployed engineer FDE model is incredibly simple to describe, but almost mathematically impossible to copy without committing the entire DNA of your corporation to it. In the legacy SaaS software as a service era of 2015 to 2022, companies like Salesforce, Workday, or Slack operated on a highly scalable, low-friction model. You sold the license, the client downloaded the software, your gross margin sat beautifully at 80 to 85%. Pure software is a license to print money because distribution costs zero. Palantir CEO Alex Karp realized a decade ago that complex, high-stakes data and now generative AI does not operate like a Slack channel. You do not just sell the software is useless on its own. You embed elite, highly lethal engineers inside the customer's organization. You drop them behind the enemy lines. These forward deploy engineers sit at the client's desk in the DIFC in Dubai or in defense contractors in Washington. They write the custom data integrations. They design the algorithmic evaluations. They ship the specific prompt. They untangle the messy, undocumented legacy code of the corporation. The software itself shows up later as the things that those engineers happen to using to solve the problem. Karp named them forward deployed. Because the engineers go to the customer, they do not wait for the customer to come to the software. Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic have finally realized this absolute truth. Generative AI is not a plug-and-play SaaS product. It is a highly volatile, unpredictable intelligence that requires massive, customized scaffolding to function in an enterprise environment. Palantir stock did not go up 20x because their software is inherently better than Snowflake or Databricks. It went 20x up because FDE model generates 150% net revenue retention, the NRR. Once you embed an engineer into a core nervous system of a corporation, you never get ripped out. The revenue compounds infinitely. Phase 2, the 80-20 paradox, the true cost of the AI. To understand why the shift fundamentally rewrites the rules of a corporate human resources and executive strategy, we must examine the math. We must deconstruct the 80-20 paradox. The media, the amateur venture capitalist, and the terrified middle manager look at a frontier model like Gemini Pro and assumes the model is a solution. The model is 20% of the solution. If you are the CHR or the Chief Human Resource Officer of a massive logistic firm in Dubai, and you buy an enterprise license for Gemini to automate your recruitment, supply chain analytics, and employee onboarding, you have solved 1/5 of your problem. What is the remaining 80%? 1. Data integration. Your legacy HR and supply chain data is trapped in fragmented Oracle databases from 2014. The AI cannot read it without custom pipeline. 2. Hallucination guardrails. If the AI hallucinates a clause in a UAE employment contract, your company faces massive legal liability under Mohore regulations. You must build deterministic guardrails. 3. Security reviews. Your Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, will absolutely block the deployment unless you cryptographically prove the AI isn't leaking the proprietary data back to the Google's public training weights. 4. Change management. This is the ultimate biological bottleneck. You must convince a workforce of 5,000 human beings who are terrified the AI will take their jobs to actively use the tool that they believe will replace them. Google realized that if they just sell the API keys, the customer will inevitably fail at the 80%. The deployment will stall, the client will churn. This carries a massive, brutal margin consequences. Pure software runs at 75 to 85% gross margin. Professional services paying biological human to sit in an office and deploy the tech runs at 30 to 40% margin. By hiring hundreds of forward deploy engineers, Google just told the global market that enterprise AI revenue arrives with a heavy, expensive services tail attached. That tail fundamentally compresses the valuations multiple that every Wall Street analyst was modeling. AI is no longer just a software business, it has mutated into an ultra-high-end consulting business. Phase 3, the consultancy massacre, the squeeze. This brings us to the hidden secondary story underneath the Google announcement. It is a story of absolute corporate slaughter. We are witnessing the consultancy massacre. For the last 20 years, mega consultancies like Accenture and Deloitte built combined $90 billion empire by acting as a deployment layer. Microsoft or Oracle sold the cloud software, and then the Accenture charged the client $50 million to actually install it, integrate it, and train the employees. But in the era of the generative AI, this model is breaking down. Google is actively internalizing the deployment layer. Why? Because the system integrators, the traditional consultancies, are moving too slowly. They do not possess the apex hyper-specialized talent required to build custom hallucination guardrails for frontier models. They operate on legacy project management timeline. The hyperscalers, Google, Microsoft, AWS, and the core AI labs, OpenAI, and Anthropic, are now aggressively competing with the consultancies. Look at Thomas Kurian, the CEO of Google Cloud. Where did he come from? He spent 22 years at Oracle. At Oracle, consulting and professional services were always the second massive engine attached to every single software license sold. He knows exactly what motion he is buying. He is building an internal army to capture the deployment revenue and ensure the product actually gets used. Accenture and Deloitte are being violently squeezed from above. If Google's forward-deployed engineers are the ones writing the integrations and managing the deployment, the traditional consultancies becomes entirely obsolete. If you are an executive or an operator currently working at Big Four consultancies in the Middle East or India, your business model is mathematically collapsing. The AI labs are cutting you out of the value stream entirely. Phase 4, Forward Deployed HR, the biological pivot. Now, we must translate this massive macroeconomic shift directly into the architecture of your career. How does this impact human resources, executive leadership, and the operators trying to survive the 2026 market? You must execute the pivot to forward deployed HR. The 80% of the AI deployment problem that Google is trying to solve is not just a technical problem. It is a human psychology problem. Change management is a polite corporate term for overcoming extreme biological resistance. Traditional human resources sits in an ivory tower. They write policies, they send out sterile emails about new technology initiative, and they host mandatory hour-long Zoom webinars that no one pays attention to. This is a legacy behavior. This guarantees failure. To survive the AI transition, the HR executive must adopt the exact mindset of a forward-deployed engineer. You cannot sit in the HR department. You must embed yourself behind enemy lines inside the engineering teams, the sales floor, and the logistics warehouses. You must become a deployment architect. 1. Mapping the biological friction. When Gemini or an autonomous agent is introduced to a sales team, the sales team will rebel. They will view the AI as a surveillance tool or a replacement threat. The forward-deployed HR operators sit at the desk with the sales rep. They map the exact psychological and operational friction. They rewrite the incentive structure so that the sales rep is financially rewarded for leveraging the AI rather than penalized for it. 2. Designing the human-in-the-loop guardrail. Algorithms hallucinate. The HR operator must design the exact organizational workflow that dictate when the AI operates autonomously and when a biological human must authorize the decision. You are not writing Python code, you are writing the human-machine interaction protocol. 3. The eradication of the middleman. If your entire HR or management role is to act as a go-between for the C-suite and the employee, the AI will delete your job. You must be the operator who physically integrate the new intelligence into the biological workforce. You go to the customer, the employee, they do not come to you. The highest paid non-technical skill in the 2026 global economy is the ability to successfully graft an artificial intelligence onto a stubborn biological corporate culture without triggering a mass resignation. Phase 5, the sovereign deployment strategist, your execution blueprint. We have diagnosed the Palantir's blueprint, exposed the 80-20 paradox of enterprise AI, mapped the destruction of the consultancy model, and defined the concept of forward-deployed HR. The final phase is your personal execution blueprint. If you are an apex operator in Dubai, Mumbai, or London, how do you extract massive financial leverage from this shift? You must position yourself as a sovereign deployment strategist. Stop telling the market that you are an AI enthusiast or a prompt engineer. Those are amateur zero-signal titles. The 12-year-old is a prompt engineer. You must aggressively rebrand your corporate identity. Step 1. Audit your organization's 80%. Look at the AI tool your company has already purchased. Are they sitting unused? Are the employees ignoring them? You must audit the 80% failure rate, identify the missing integrations, the lack of guardrails, and the catastrophic failure of change management. Step 2. Propose the embedded model. Do not ask for permission to fix the problem from a distance. Go to your CEO or your department head and explicitly propose the forward-deployed model. Say, we have spent $2 million on Gemini enterprise license and your utilization rate is 12%. I'm leaving my current desk. I'm embedding myself directly into the supply chain division for next 90 days. I will untangle their workflow, design their specific prompt, establish the security protocol, and force the adoption metrics to 85%. You are no longer an employee, you are an internal shock troop. Step 3. Broadcast your deployment dominance. You must force the global market to recognize your structural value. You step into your acoustic-treated digital studio. You deploy your elite Cineline gear, your Sony FX2, FX3 camera. You import the data into DaVinci Resolve 20. You do not record a video talking about how great AI is. Everyone does that. You record a highly structured, unsentimental video essay deconstructing exactly why enterprise AI deployment fails. You break down the psychology of change management. You explain how you embed within a legacy department, navigated the biological resistance, and successfully deployed an LLM architecture that increased output by 40%. When a Tier 1 CEO or a sovereign wealth fund manager watches that broadcast, they realize you possess the exact hyperscalers skill that Google is currently spending billions of dollars to acquire. You understand the deployment layer. Look closely at the software sitting on your corporate network. Look at the massive disconnect between the intelligence of the machine and the willingness of the human workforce to use it. The AI model is a commodity. The deployment is a monopoly. Stop selling the software. Stop relying on external consultants who do not understand your corporate DNA. Become the forward deployed operator. Embed yourself in the friction force, the integration, and command the absolute premium that the market pays for actual unautomatable execution. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I will see you at the top.